Now we're learning, and this is in connection with the Neelkanth Ganjoo murder case, the Jammu and Kashmir State Investigation Agency, otherwise known as the SIA, has appealed for the public to the public for assistance in its investigation into the assassination of Neelkanth Ganjoo, a Kashmiri Pandit judge. Now Neelkanth, who had sentenced the terrorist ideologue and JKLF co-founder Makbul Bhatt to death, was tragically killed by JKLF terrorists back in 1990. And this is the breaking input that we're getting about a fresh appeal. Remember, so essentially the SIA, the Jammu and Kashmir State Investigation Agency, has appealed to the public for assistance when it comes to the investigation. And this investigation specifically is into the assassination of Neelkanth Ganjoo, a Kashmiri Pandit judge. We're crossing over CNN News 18's Ishan Wani to get us more on this. He's joining us right now. Ishan, over to you.
Well, yes, it's an important decision that the government has taken. We are told by our sources that more such cases of killings of Kashmiri, Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims, which happened in the 90s, will be reopened and reinvestigated. It's been so long that Kashmiri pundits, living across India, have been demanding investigation into such cases where militants killed Kashmiri pundits broad daylight. And this is the case of Kashmiri Pandit judge who had sentenced the JKLF ideologue Makbul Bhatt to death. Now, Neelkant Ganjoo was a judge, and when he came out of his court, some distance from there, he was shot at and he died instantly. And you know how in situation unfolded in the 90s, and then investigations took a toll. But yesterday, the State Investigation Agency, which is an anti-terror body, coming out with a release. And today, we are seeing that in the newspapers also. They are asking people to come out and speak if they have any knowledge about the case, or if there is any memory of anybody seen killing Ganjoo. And that is important because the Kashmiri Pandits have been long demanding reopening of cases. We are also told that, multiple such cases of such nature where Sikhs were targeted, or be it the prominent Muslims, around 10 cases also indicating will be reopened. So yes, it's one step where Kashmiri Pandits have been long demanding that investigation should be carried out in such cases. And that seems to be the case in the right direction, where now SIA is asking general public to talk to them, to speak to them, and their identities will be kept hidden, and they should come out with sharing their any account of events, indirectly or directly, which can be important for the investigation, because we've seen that previously it has been told that JKLF was the organization which has been behind this. We have already seen that Yasin Malik is also already facing trial in some cases. So yes, once again, J&K government with these agencies are trying to make sure that investigation in such cases which were left behind are carried out.
Ishan, do stay with us. We're going to just take a look at that public notice that has now been issued by the SIA. And this is in order to unearth the larger criminal conspiracy behind the gruesome murder that took place back in 1990. Remember, he was killed by JKLF terrorists back then. Now, the identity of all such persons shall be kept completely hidden and protected. This is for anybody who wants to provide any information in relation to this case. Ishan, now, when it comes to this notice, we've been able to go through some of the points here, but can we also understand what the presence of the JKLF is like currently when it comes to the valley?
Well, it was banned by the J&K government. Initially, it was an armed group which carried out attacks prior to in the 90s when the armed militants started in Jammu and Kashmir. They carried out spectacular attacks, and then also prominent personalities were assassinated by them. There's already an Indian Air Force case going on against JKLF where Yasin Malik is facing trial. There are other cases as well, including the kidnapping of Rubia Saeed, which was carried out, daughter of Mufti Muhammad Saeed, who was then the Home Minister. Her kidnapping was carried out, and JKLF is the organization which has been blamed for. And then, JKLF laid down weapons and then went on to carry out, protest and street violent protest, giving hartal calls and ban calls, but left the gun. That is when, after certain years, after Pulwama attack was carried out, J&K government swung into action with the center. They have carried out raids, carried out by the NIA, and investigations were done. And that since then, JKLF, led by Yasin Malik at that time, has been banned. Now, remember, it was in the 90s when he had, prior to 90s, actually, he had sentenced their ideologue to death in a case. and that since then, he was under radar, and then this judge was targeted. But finally, there has been a long wait by the J&K pundits, who have been living and have been living outside Jammu and Kashmir, that the investigation into the killings of certain cases should be done. But now, finally, this SIA, which was formed on the lines of NIA to locally look into such cases, be it the militancy-related case or be it the certain cases of investigation, this SIA was formed on those lines, and that seems to be the government has handed over the case to them so that they could investigate, because there's already an FIR which is registered in regard to this case, and there are certain cases which Kashmiri pundits narrate that they couldn't get details of the FIR copy back then. There are certain cases where individually Kashmiri pundits are fighting in the court on their own basis, but now finally a case has been picked up by the J&K government. As I said earlier, that we are told by our sources that around 10 such cases will be opened up. It will be of those who have been killed in the 90s by certain militant outfits, targeted. It could have, cases of Kashmiri Hindus, Sikhs who have been living in Kashmir, and also some Kashmiri Muslim personalities who were targeted in the 90s. So yes, there will be an in-depth investigation, and people will be told to come out and speak whatever knowledge about the incident they have, if they are eyewitnesses, so that they can come before the state
Absolutely,
investigation
Ishan.
agency.
Thank you so much for joining us and bringing us those details.